For over 7 decades, North and South Korea have stood divided, two nations sharing a name, a culture, and a bitter history. From war to fragile peace talks, and now to renewed tensions, their relationship has shaped Asian geopolitics. The division began in 1945, at the end of World War II. Korea, once under Japanese occupation, was split along the 38th parallel. The North fell under Soviet influence, the South under American. In 1950, the North invaded the South. The Korean War had begun, a brutal conflict that claimed millions of lives. For 3 years, the peninsula was engulfed in devastation. Though fighting stopped in 1953, no peace treaty was signed. Instead, an armistice created the Demilitarized Zone, the DMZ, a heavily fortified border that still exists today. In 1968, the Cold War was red hot, and U.S. spy ships were gathering intel off enemy coasts. One of them is the USS Pueblo, a lightly armed Navy intelligence ship patrolling international waters off North Korea. On January 23rd, North Korean patrol boats surround the Pueblo. Despite being in international waters, North Korean forces open fire, killing 1 crew member and capturing 82 others. The crew is taken to Pyongyang. There, they're interrogated, beaten, and used in propaganda films. For 11 long months, the U.S. negotiates for their release without triggering war. In December 1968, North Korea finally releases the crew, but keeps the ship, which still sits on display in Pyongyang as a trophy. In late 1987, South Korea were preparing to host the 1988 Summer Olympics, a symbol of progress, peace, and international recognition. But North Korea had other plans. On November 29, 1987, Korean Air Flight 858 took off from Baghdad International Airport in Iraq. On board were 115 people, many of them South Korean workers returning home from the Middle East. The flight's path included multiple stopovers. The first was Abu Dhabi International Airport in the UAE, where 2 North Korean agents disguised as Japanese tourists disembarked, leaving behind a radio bomb hidden inside a liquor bottle in the plane's overhead bin. The flight then continued toward its next scheduled stop, Don Mueang International Airport in Bangkok, Thailand. But it never made it. While flying over the Andaman Sea, near the Thailand-Myanmar border, the bomb detonated mid-air, just minutes before entering Thai airspace. The aircraft broke apart at cruising altitude, killing everyone on board instantly. Final destination was Gimpo International Airport in Seoul, South Korea, but it was never reached. No wreckage was ever recovered, only silence over open ocean. The act was later revealed to be a terrorist attack orchestrated by North Korea, aimed at disrupting the 1988 Seoul Olympics. One of them, Kim Hyun-hui, attempted suicide but was caught alive. Her confession was chilling. The bombing was ordered by North Korea's leadership, meant to terrorize South Korea and disrupt the Olympics. Despite the hostility, moments of diplomacy have emerged. In 1991, the Koreas signed their first formal agreement to work toward reconciliation. In 2000 and 2007, historic summits opened channels for cooperation. In 2018, North Korea captured global attention at the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics by sending athletes and cultural delegates, including Kim Yo-jong, Kim Jong-un's sister, who extended an invitation for a summit in Pyongyang. That year, North and South Korea held 3 landmark summits in April, May, and September, including a dramatic meeting in the DMZ where President Moon Jae-in and Kim Jong-un pledged peace, family reunions, and steps toward denuclearization. But hope was short-lived. By 2019, talks with the U.S. stalled, and North Korea returned to missile testing. In 2023, Kim Jong-un formally declared that unification with the South was impossible. His regime revised its constitution to label South Korea a hostile. In turn, Seoul strengthened its alliance with the US and Japan, conducting large-scale military exercises. This conflict isn't just military, it's psychological. For years, both sides used propaganda broadcasts. South Korea blasted news and pop music across the border. North Korea retaliated with noise and balloons filled with garbage. In 2024, tensions spiked again when the North sent waves of trash-laden balloons. But in June, South Korea's new liberal president took a different approach. According to a recent BBC article, South Korea has ordered a halt to its own broadcasts and balloon launches, hoping to reduce tensions and restoring trust, improving life for residents near the border, and encouraging future dialogue. But the reality is sobering. The North continues to build its missile arsenal, deepens ties with Russia, and refuses to engage with Seoul or Washington. What happens next could go three ways. In the best-case scenario, diplomacy returns and the Koreas restart talks. More likely, the status quo continues. Periods of tension interrupted by small gestures of peace. In the worst case, rising militarism and external alliances may push the peninsula closer to conflict. President Lee's de-escalation attempt is a small but notable step, but it requires a meaningful response from Pyongyang. If you found this video insightful, like, share, and subscribe for more content on global affairs. What do you think? Is peace still possible between North and South Korea? Let us know in the comments.